There we go.
Right, good evening everybody and welcome back to episode 3 of the Proud Terriers Weekly Review. Once again, thank you so much for the support of the group and for tuning in tonight and for the support. Since we relaunched on our YouTube channel, the engagement numbers have been really positive, and I'm really grateful for everyone's support on that. Like I said, we want to engage with our fans more throughout this lockdown and give us an opportunity to do so. So we decided to create this, and like I say, until we can get back into the stadium, which can't come soon enough, by the way. Everyone's feeling that right now. Going forward, I do have ambitions to setting up a podcast where we cover really important topics surrounding homophobia within the game, where it gives us opportunity to educate others and raise awareness too. I'm absolutely delighted to be able to welcome our special guest, Matt Glennon, onto the show. Matt played for Town between 2006 and 2010, making 109 appearances for the club, and so he was a fantastic servant for our football club. He going on to do Town commentary with Paul Ogden, which I absolutely love. I think they both do an amazing job. Like I say, welcome to the show, Matt, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. And like I say, I do appreciate your support of the group. It means a lot to me, it really does.
No problem, buddy. Always ready to help. But I'm going to start off without correcting you. I played 122 games for Town. You got to put the cup games in there. Those games were massive.
Right. My apologies. I was hoping that I'd got that figure right, but obviously my trusted sources that I used wasn't trusted.
Some of my best games were the cup, so I don't like them being mixed off. But no, I'll give you the rest.
But yeah, nearly there. So, as I say, we're going to spend the first half of the show talking about Matt's career, especially looking at his time at Town. And like I say, any questions you may want to ask him, you can ask him in the chat below, and I'll cover them as we go along. And then, obviously, the second half we'll talk about the Sheffield Wednesday game that we played last week. So, I think the perfect way to start is by asking you, what did your route into football look like, and did you always know that you wanted to be a footballer in that sense?
No, mine was a little bit different than kids at the minute. I didn't start when I was 3 years old and get picked up by an academy at the age of 4. Mine was a little bit later, just by chance. Someone asked me if I wanted to come down and play a bit of football, played outfield. Didn't enjoy it, don't like running, don't like heading the ball. So, but it was fun. The goalkeeper didn't turn up one of the days. I was obviously one of the taller ones in the team, so I got chucked in there and loved it. The team that I played against had beat the club I was playing for 9-1 twice. So at half time, we were only 2-1 down. I thought, brilliant. I'm obviously doing something right. We got beat 9-2 in the end. So it wasn't fantastic. But then just worked hard. I started playing for, school teams, started then my Sunday League team. And then as things got on, my town team, my region, county, and then obviously professional teams as well start sniffing around you when you start playing a little bit better at the age of 13, 14. And that's how it started, really. So it was just accidental of someone asking me if I wanted to come down and join Aswood United, it was called then, from where I'm from, Ladebridge County, same team back in Stockport. And it just went from there. And it didn't take long for me to start realising the ball wasn't going past me as much as it was other people. So I started to enjoy it. Started managing my football team at school, as well as taking some of the PE lessons as well. He just left me to get on with it and took all the lessons in the end at PE at my high school, and then got signed by Bolton Wanderers at the age of about 14. Stayed there till I was 21, so I was there for a while. Did a YTS, which was some of the best times of my life. Just fantastic. And like when I mentioned to people now, I was on £40 a week as a Premier League scholar. People look at me like I'm some sort of alien. And it rose to about 45 quid a week the year after.
That's a pretty
unique as well. Let's not forget. Yeah.
It's a pretty unique experience into the world of football. Then it's not your usual route, like you say. So, how did you? I know we're talking about Town here, but how did you find your time at Bolton when they gave you that opportunity? Obviously, it was a Premier League side at the time, I believe, weren't they? I'm not really sure entirely, but I think that's what you said. But yeah.
Well, yeah, we just got into the Premier League. I signed from when they were in League One, probably League One as it is now, thinking I'd get my chance in the first team really early because I had options of teams that were already in the Premier League and to sign a YTS. But no, I said I'd stick with Bolton and stuck with them, and so the YTS was mentally and physically challenging. It was, very tough. It set me up for the rest of my life really to be a bit of a hard-faced git, to be fair, and not really take anything anyone says to heart too much. So it was a tough upbringing, but it was brilliant. Just laughed every day, had fun every day, but we got destroyed mentally and physically on a daily basis. But I wouldn't take it back.
Yeah, like you say, I think that experience though kind of just sets you up for life really, with the challenges that life brings at times. So I think that it may have been tough for you, but I feel like like you say, it did benefit you in the long term, and I bet you look back on that experience and you're proud of that achievement that you made there.
Well, you do, because you know what tired is. You know what I mean? Because obviously I lived in Stockport. I was playing for Bolton. Obviously didn't drive, especially not on 40 quid a week. I wasn't driving anyway. My parents couldn't afford to buy me any sort of car or anything. So it was a walk, a bus, a train, another walk, sometimes over railway lines, which obviously you get shot for these days. I jump over 4. When you come to Bolton, you had to either walk all the way around the train station and down to the ground, or I could skip over 4 railway lines and cut myself about half a mile off. So now and again, I'd do that as well. And just head down there, and we'd be there till 4 or 5 playing head tennis, training, working hard, punishments for not doing our jobs properly. And it was just, it was an amazing time.
Sounds really good and interesting, that. So moving on to obviously focusing on Huddersfield now. So how did you move to Huddersfield come about, and did you find it easy to settle in? And did you have to? How did you manage with transport? Did you manage to move over here and then be able to settle in within the town there and then?
Well, no, I was playing up in the SPL before I came down here. So I'd moved back to my house in Carlisle because I played for them before I went up to Scotland. I was traveling every day. I was living in the golf house, in the golf house and the George Hotel, mixing between the two for about 2.5, 3 months until I sold my house up in Carlisle because I just got married as well. So it was quite a busy time. And then, we found our first house. Well, my wife made me look at about 60 houses, to tell you the truth. We were looking at all around the outskirts of Huddersfield, and we ended up settling in Shelley. I've moved away from there recently, but I had a great time there. We had about 8-9 years there, settled in straight away. Because I don't forget, I'd moved from Stockport to Hull, and then Hull to Carlisle, in Scotland, back to Carlisle, and then we came down to Huddersfield. So I'd done a bit of moving around. When you walk into a footballing changing room, you've got instant 15 to 20 friends already. You've got a social circle. And you have people to help you out a little bit, even though Boothie didn't help me out in where to live. He told me a few dodgy areas, thinking I was going to. Luckily, Cheryl, his wife's a little bit more amenable than he is. So ended up moving to Shelley, and just fixed in 5 minutes from the training ground. That was all. So it was great. And my girls went to school locally and everything there. And obviously, I've stayed here ever since and settled business. I hope they'll be open again so I can sort your mullet out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm booked in, so I'll see you there when it's open. So as time went on, obviously, and then obviously you left Huddersfield. But looking back now, was there a favourite town memory that you had looking back on your time at town as such, or was there quite a few?
No, for the first 2.5 years, it was great until I stopped playing, and then I had my double knee surgery, didn't play. But right from the start, Jacko made me really welcome. I got on with Terry Orrath Taff really well. I got on with Martin Booty really well. The goalkeeper coach they had at the time. So I just hit the ground running. I knew Lee Martin, the physio. I'd known him for 10 years before I turned up in town, just on the goalkeeping circuit and things. So I had people I knew into the change room, just had a good laugh with the lads. We went off to Ibiza straight away in a pre-season tour. So next thing I'm in San Antonio on a Lilo having a mint chocolate chip ice cream, and it's supposed to be pre-season. Again, straight in there, lots of bonding. A good set of lads were Worthy and Nathan Clark and Andy Olsworth, and obviously Luke Beckett, who was my roommate for most of my time there, who was brilliant. And the lads made me very welcome, and enjoyed it straight away. And started the season with a loss. I think I did. I had a really good game. I think man of the match in my first game was Gillingham away. But I had plenty to do. But yeah, I enjoyed most of my time. Obviously, the cup runs, the penalty saves, things like that just made it special. And obviously, living in the town as well, you get to meet lots of people who want to talk to you about football and other. Yeah, just instantly welcomed.
Yeah, definitely. And I did my research again. And, you achieved a rare feat in saving 3 penalty kicks. 2 penalties were awarded, but 1 had to be retaken in the same game against Crewe in February 2007. I bet that was a pretty amazing experience to be able to do that.
It was, but obviously the advertisements were all for the wrong reason. Still got beat. Yeah, it was 3 different takers as well against Crewe. Got beat 2-1 still. But it was a bit special. I didn't realise I was one of only 3 people in history to do it at the time. So it was, it was good, but you can't celebrate too much when you've just been beat 2-1 by Crewe at home. Deflected goal, I remember the game well. It was just a shame. And then Soccer AM the following week was all, how unlucky is this goalkeeper, Matt Glennon, to save 3 penalties and still get beat 2-1. So it was. I got myself nice and famous. I was even Ryan, in a crossword in the Daily Mail. And that was when I knew my career and my life could go on, because I'd achieved a crossword question.
I didn't actually realise the result that made, but I kind of picked up that information when I was doing my research earlier on. When you was, I'm just curious to know that, when you was like when there were penalties, did you kind of do your research before the match about which would you have a set place that you'd go? How would you work out where you'd go if that makes sense? How would you decide what you would do in that instance?
You wouldn't know where they were going anyway because they all changed. But I had my own little tells. You look at the play before he picks the ball up, because most people are arguing with the referee. They're all arguing. It's not as if he's going to change his mind and suddenly agree with all our players. Oh no, you can have a goal kick. I'll take it back. It's not going to happen. So I watch the person who's going to take the penalty. So before he puts the ball down, before he even picks it up, I'm looking at him to see where he's looking at the goal. And it's just the odd tell now and again. And then obviously a slice of luck in there as well to go the right way and for him not to put it right in the corner.
Nice. So before we go on to questions by the viewers, what was it? Oh yeah, did you wish that you could have spent longer at Huddersfield then? Because obviously 4 years is still a long time. Obviously you was out injured, I believe you said, for a part of it as well. So I was just wondering if did you really want to stay at Huddersfield? And obviously
no, easily, because I wasn't playing. If I'm not playing, there's no point in being there. I'd spent, obviously Lee Clark came in. I got dropped the game before Lee Clark came in. By the youth team manager, which didn't go down well for me because I've obviously played for 2.5 years, and then obviously I stuck it out, supported Alex and everything else, thinking there's a chance I'll get back in again. But then I had my double knee surgery in the March, came back fit as anything for pre-season, and it was quite clear that I wasn't playing. I also wasn't allowed to go anywhere, which wasn't great either, along with other politics that I won't bore you with tonight. But no, it was time for me to go, and I had to move on because I've got to play football. I was 31, 32 then. And I'd played about 400 games anyway, but I needed to play football. And it was not going to happen at Town anymore. So unfortunately, I had to move on, and I made the disastrous error to go to Bradford.
I suppose it was, a shame that it ended the way it did. Because
plenty of regrets, and I would have stayed. I would have stayed throughout my career. I loved being at the club, but I needed at least an inkling that I was going to get some games or play and get a chance to get back in. But there's no chance of even getting in. So there was no point in me staying and just wasting my time and the club's time by sitting there.
Yeah, of course. We've got a question here by Alpha. Was it hard being a goalkeeper? Because I think a lot of people think if you haven't actually played in goal before, you haven't really had that experience. I don't think people realise how hard it is in goal until you've actually played in that position. Would you agree with that? And like I say, was it hard being a goalkeeper?
Well, look at my face. I'm only 21 years old. How it changed. You academy, you know what I talk about. I talk about the goalkeeping a lot. You know what I mean? When you make errors, getting straight over it, when things aren't going your way, when your teammates start getting a little lippy and a bit clever as well. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to back yourself up. If you've made a mistake, you hold your hands up and say, yeah, I've made a mistake. You know what I mean? And then you tell people, if they keep coming at you, what to do with themselves. You know, but you've got to be a strong character. You've got to work hard at your techniques. Like I say, you've seen that in the training we do. You've got to work on your techniques, but the mental side of it is huge. You've got to be strong enough to make a mistake, stand up, shrug it off, carry on with the game, then go home and drown your sorrows.
Yeah, definitely. Another question comes in from Ruben. What was your worst injury throughout your career? Because I suppose that as a goalkeeper, you can get some nasty injuries as well as from players outfield can get nasty injuries, but also goalkeepers can as well.
But first few weeks from YTS, I broke my hand. On my 18th birthday in the FA Youth Cup, I broke my arm. That was quite painful because I had to play 40 minutes with a broken arm. We had no sub-keeper. So that was quite painful. I've had, as you can see there, I've got a big scar across my face where a lad called Kelvin Zola, who played for Newcastle, stood on my face and opened it up. So it opened right up and they had to wire my face back together again. That was fun. I've had my ear taken off, bottom of my ear. Someone stood on my head. I was playing for Falkirk in the SPL and they glued my ear back on again. That was weird. That really stung a lot, that did. Numerous stitches. I've had 60 cortisones. I've had the end of my knee bone taken off in a challenge. So I had to have a microfracture on that, which nearly ended my career, to be fair. Clean up left, which was more painful than the knee bone coming off. They're just it was like sandpaper underneath my knees. I actually need it doing again now, I think. I've had injections in knuckles, in my spine. I had 2 injections they put straight into my spine like that. And that was just went straight in. I was watching it on a camera. I've had lots of steroid and cortisone to my shoulders as well because my shoulders are all worn out as well. So I watched that on the camera. I was like that, passing out as he was doing it. That was fun. Then I had to 12 hours until it kicked in. I've had a few things. Luckily though, my big old schnoz has never been hit, so that was quite lucky. Or if it did, they didn't do it hard enough to break it. So I've nothing else. I've got a straight nose.
You've had your fair share of of everywhere really. Then by the sound. In terms of when you went to when you played in Scotland compared to when you were playing in England, could you notice the level of the game between the Scottish game and the English game, or would you say it was quite similar?
It was different in the fact it was obviously their top league, so everything's geared towards that. Match of the day is Scottish match of the day, and all the papers are all geared towards that. But it was actually before the money ran out in Scotland. It was 2004, before the crash, when all the banks went and Hearts just went to the wall and Hibs went to the wall. So it went back to. There's always been 2 clubs, Celtic obviously and Rangers, but Hibs and Hearts had money and they had big crowds and they were closer. Aberdeen, but then the money fell out of it. So when I was up there was still a bit of money sloshing around, some decent players, and it was good. I loved it. So, playing in front of 60,000 at Celtic, Rangers were just mental. They just never stopped singing. 50,000 there. As you pull up to the ground, they're singing. As you're warming up, they're singing. At half time, they're singing. And we got a decent 2-2 draw there as well. And they were still singing. Hairs on the back of your neck it was just absolutely amazing. Playing up there, obviously Aberdeen, Hibs were getting big numbers, still Hearts were getting full crowds. It was a fantastic year, but that was enough. And obviously, I scored my goal up there as well for St Johnstone, my fantastic strike as well. So only goal for St Johnstone. So it was good, but it was freezing. It was freezing. When you go outside, to train, you go home, put the fire on, and that's it. It was time to come back down south again.
I must admit, I think personally, I'd love to go to Celtic Park and the Ibrox one day for sure.
Oh, right.
2 impressive stadiums, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the atmosphere as well. As you're driving in the coach, like Celtic as well, it's weird because it's just this sea of green as you're going towards Celtic Park. But there's just one pub, and it's a Rangers pub, and there's just everyone out there. No one says anything, no one touches them, and there's just like this little gap of blue in all this green. It's very, very real.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got another question here from Caden. What's your favourite stadium that you've played at throughout your career?
Favourite stadium? I don't know. That's a very good question. I've played at Millennium Stadium. That was not as impressive as I thought it would be. The finishing touches weren't quite there then. So Millennium was nice. Obviously, Stamford Bridge. That's a good question. No one's asked me. The millions of times I've done these questions and things. No one's asked me the favourite stadium that I've played at. You know what? I enjoyed playing up to the Gal Farm. I enjoyed playing at the Gal Farm every week because it was a great stadium. And I remember driving into Huddersfield or coming off the motorway and thinking, bloody hell, I can't wait to get signed and get started. And I thoroughly enjoyed turning up at the John Smiths as it is now every other week. It was brilliant, and that's one of the main things that really impeded me off when I did leave, because Bradford was great and they've got a big stadium, but I enjoyed walking over that bridge and doing my stuff on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you really loved your time there, and like I say, you loved the club grew in that aspect, and it kind of was disappointing for you when you had to move on because you knew that you wouldn't be going to a place that you loved going to every day, for example.
Well, yeah, because Bradford was. I had to start playing again because I'd had my injury and I'd come back and I'd not played. Obviously, I went there with Stuart McCall, but he left after a week, so it was not great. And it was it wasn't a great time in my career when I went there. It was games and big crowd, and it's a really good club. But just at the time, the training ground wasn't quite right and everything else, and they had a kit that made me look really fat as well, which I didn't like. So it was not brilliant.
Another question from Alpha. Did you ever get nervous being in goal? Is it kind of I know a goalkeeping position is one, if you make a mistake, it's highlighted more than if you make a mistake outfield. So I suppose what this question's asking is, is it nerve-wracking being in goal?
Not when the game starts, but I got very nervous the night before on the day of the game. I remember one of the best games I ever had. Well, it got me 10 out of 10 in the paper. I was playing in the Scottish Premier League it was Dunfermline versus Falkirk, local derby. I turned up. I didn't feel confident. The ball looked like the size of a pea. Everything was just not right for me turning up to the game. I don't know why. I just didn't feel particularly great. Ended up having the best game of my life. I just saved everything. Full house. Say local derby. Manager hugging me on the pitch. It was just an absolutely phenomenal game. But I felt sick before. I didn't tell anyone. Obviously, after the game, I just took the applause, walked in, and said, "Yeah, aren't I great?" But really, before the game, I was bricking it. And most games, virtually every game, reserve games. Even I turned out for Hepworth United about 2 years ago, before all this obviously pandemic stuff started. I played for the second team. For the second team there, I was nervous then because I think everyone expected me to save everything. I thought, well, I'm 40 and can't move, so don't expect too much from me. But yeah, I always got nervous, and still do now when I play even charity matches.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I suppose nerves gets to us all, but I suppose shows
that's it, done. As soon as that warm up starts, then I'm fine.
All right, so you'd never actually get nervous within a game at all?
No, I just got angry.
Yeah. A question from Caden now. Who's been your favourite town player this season and why?
This season, one of my favourite players this season has been Mbenza because of where he was. Because I thought it was awful for them first 2 years, and he's come back. He's worked hard. He's brought himself into the fold, and you know what? Well done to him for pulling his socks up. It might be that his contract's for the season. I don't really care, but the fact he's been there, he scored some big goals as well, which are going to keep him in the league. So yeah, I've had a little soft spot for him because when people talk about me on the radio saying, "Oh, I don't like this player, I don't like that player," anyone who gives the best, anyone who works hard, anyone who produces something for town on a regular basis and wants to be there, they'll always get the support. As soon as the standards drop, then they get hammered. As simple as that. And it's just the way it is. It's nothing personal. I want them to do their best for Huddersfield Town. And if I don't think hard, then I say it. Whereas I think Ben's really stepped up this year, and he's done well. He's done well.
Yeah, definitely good shout there. So let's go back to your career now, and obviously, when you did retire, was it kind of a decision that you kind of knew, did you kind of plan when you was gonna retire from the game, or did you kind of just have that inkling one day that I might just retire at the end of the season, for example, junior season?
No, I'd had enough. I'd had enough.
Yeah.
Friend had been sacked from Halifax Town, which I really enjoyed with Neil Aspin. I had a really good time there. We had success. It was great. He got sacked. A friend of mine got the job after him, but he never had a chance. You know what I mean? The training ground wasn't right. The players weren't right. And then he had a number two who was a disgrace, to be fair, and backstabbing him all the time. I thought, I'm 37, nearly 38 years old now. I don't need this. I'm up to 700, best part of 650, 700 games. I've got someone talking to me like I'm a fifth, like I'm back at YTS again. And I thought, no, I don't think so. And he was disrespecting my friend who was manager as well. I got dropped, deservedly dropped, I may say. I let 7 goals in, which I don't like admitting very much. That was terrible. But I just thought, no, I'm done now. Obviously, the business is set up, the academy was up, and I don't like the ball going past me. As simple as that. And when it started happening a bit more too regular for my liking, it was time to go. So no, I had no qualms in hanging the gloves up, even though I made like 5 different appearances for about 5 different clubs, helping them out. Scarborough, Shelley. I played a couple of games with Shelley, my mates there, where I helped out. Epworth. There, I've played a couple of little cameos, but no, it was time to end for me. I'd had enough. I was done.
Well, for sure, it was definitely a really amazing career that you had, for sure, within football. So it's not bad retiring at that age. So going on to your commentating now, what made you get into commentating? How did that opportunity come about? Because, like I say, it's something that I've said to you in the past that I'd love to be able to, commentate on a football match, because I think it'd be an amazing experience. So yeah, what kind of what made you get into that side of the game? And
yeah, well, it definitely wasn't the money. Let's put it that way. It just something I enjoyed. I didn't want to be. I got offered goalkeeper coaching jobs and things like that. I wasn't interested because Neil Aspin again asked me to go on Port Vale and other places. He got sacked after 12 months. You know what I mean? And then I'm left with someone I don't know, and not for me. And I've got my family. I'd rather be at home. So Oggy used to interview me quite a lot when I played for town, because he knew I had always plenty to say, as you can tell. So Kieran was coming to the end. He was saying he was finishing. I did 1 game against Birmingham in the first year of Wagner's era. Obviously, it went all right. So he said, do you fancy the gig, like coming down and having a go? So I thought, yeah, I'll have a go. And that's it. Just threw myself into it. Did my research, watched the football. I just love talking, like we're doing now. These sort of debates, the phone-ins that we do now, everything like that. Obviously, I did have my own show when I was allowed in the studio. And yeah, it just went from there. And me and Oggy get on really well. We have good chemistry, have good people working around us, like obviously Johnny Buchan and Catherine and everyone at the studio as well. So it was just something that's enjoyable, keeps me in the game without having to deal with managers, chairmen, and directors. So I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I think that you really do make a great commentator. I'm not just saying that, but I think you kind of evaluate the game in a really good way, so it kind of makes sense in that aspect, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Get me on your show now, so you can say what you want now.
But yeah, what a bit of a statement and a question from Harry Hall. Quick comment, as we never been able to say it, Matty, personally. Congratulations on the seat challenge with Boothie. I donated, and any more challenges planned in the future then?
Apparently we have got some more challenges in the future, yeah. to be confirmed, but yeah, it was tough. It was the amount of bird shite in the stands as well. We were absolutely covered. But yeah, it was good. Me and Boothie had a good chance to catch up. So it was a good few hours that we were doing it for. A lot of hours we were doing it for. So yeah, it was, I ached. I had blisters, obviously with my rugged hairdresser's hands. Couldn't quite cope with the up and down constantly. But it was good. And yeah, we're going to do some more hopefully in the future, and hopefully with more people involved as well, because we won't be in this bloody lockdown.
It looked a really tough challenge, actually, but yeah, you seem to
do the first two rows were really tough, and then a bit of a stride then.
So I think that's all the questions and everything. But yeah, I think we've had a great chat about your career, and I've kind of gained an insight into a bit more, because I know I've asked you on occasion about your career, but kind of not this in-depth conversation that we've had maybe now. So great to get to know about your career, and like I say, I find it really interesting, and because your commentary now. At least you're still on the scene, Huddersfield. Because would you say that you're a Town fan then now, or what would you say you are?
I would say when I'm watching Town, I want them to win. Let's put it that way. I'm a Stockport lad. You know, a ball boy for Stockport. I'm not a Stockport fan because I've always played. You see, so I've never stood in the stands. I've never turned up and had a bottle and a pie or a few pints with my mates because I've always played from a very early age. So that affinity with the club hasn't been there as a fan, but as a player, I loved my first 2.5 years at Town. As I've said, fantastic. I've stayed here, and I've stayed here for a reason because I love living where I live. I've got my business here, my academy. Friends like yourself who are doing a great job doing what you're doing, and it's great. So when I'm in that state, I'm a Town fan. Unless they play Stockport, then it'll be about half and half. But that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah, that nice one. So I want to go on to the game last week then, and obviously, like going into the game, Sheffield Wednesday had lost the last 3 games on the bounce and weren't really in the best of form, whereas we'd kind of picked up quite considerably. So I kind of felt before this game that, if we applied ourselves in the right way and we did, and we played to the best, we would actually win that game. But unfortunately, we didn't actually do that. So, like I said, when I looked at the team sheet, I was a bit confused really because I would have, and I know it's easy to criticize the team selection and why they not chosen this person and this but actually it made sense to go with players that are more attacking minded against a team like Sheffield Wednesday, who conceded a fair share of goals themselves. So for me, I would have had Mbenza, Rowe, and like I said, Sanogo. And the thing that gets me is that adding on to Sanogo, actually looked really, really good with Campbell top and against Cardiff a few weeks ago. And he's kind of not. We've not really seen that since, so it's kind of frustrating that he's decided to play him up front together one time and then kind of just cut that distance.
Cardiff game was about matching Cardiff, about matching up size for size, team for team, and it worked really well. But that's not how Carlos plays. So he's got his man now for his plan B coming on. But the only thing for me, again, nothing against the lad, but Dehaney was the strange one for me. He said I'd have played Mbenza or Rowe instead of Dehaney, and I think that would have given more attacking because he is more defensive minded. He's not an attacking player like those two. So I just thought, they should have gone for it more because you can always go a bit defensive later on once you've got yourself in the lead. And obviously a little bit of luck with their own goal, you get a point, which is a great point. You're away. But when a team's been beaten 7 in a row, then for me, you go at them with everything you've got. And then you can maybe sit back later on once you've got yourself 1 or 2 goals in front. Yeah,
I kind of find it confusing that Dehaney is getting a look in, not that much, but occasionally. Because I'm not criticising the lad, but when we have seen he hasn't looked the best player. And, I don't know. I'm just a bit confused why he's ahead of others.
He's a good player. He's just not as strong as others, as you say. He's not as strong as other players, and especially against the team that have lost 7 in a row. It should be. I felt it was a trick miss because you get those extra 2 points. All you've got to do is beat Rotherham, and really you're staying up. So, I do think it was a trick miss, but they are on a good run. They have done well. To come from where they've been, to grab the points they've got recently, the QPR game, obviously the Cardiff game. The Birmingham game was a poor game, but Birmingham made it a very poor game because I thought they were awful and dragged down to their level, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Wednesday one was just a little bit too cautious, but at the same time, you know what I mean? They're not as if they're pulling up trees Town at the minute, but that one change for me, I think would have made a big difference.
Yeah, because I think there was just too many 4, 5s and 6s for me rating wise throughout that match.
I think you're a bit harsh with the 4s there, Ryan. To be fair, I was going to put my phone in. I think 4s are a little bit harsh, but I definitely think there was a few too many. Of the not full. Not enough 8s. There's no 8s.
Maybe I am a bit harsh at times, but it's because I know what we can do, and I felt like we were to that level at that point. There was a few players that I felt like they weren't really, and I think, like I said, we had our fair fair share of chances, and maybe we did do enough to maybe win that game, because we did have our fair. Mind you, we've had chances all season, but we just haven't been able to take them away. But I think a player that is going into a lot of debate is Bakuna. I know that he's mentioned a lot on the show, and I really don't know what to think about this lad, because I love him at times, but then when I see him, with his poor attitude, that he's really come across as as watching on from home. It's really disappointing that his attitude drops from time to time, but also I wouldn't say that he fits the town like ethos, if you could say so, because he's not a team player for me. He's more about an individual type of player for me, and he just frustrates me to watch him at times. But again, he's always capable of that brilliant spark.
Yeah, you have mentioned it 200 or 300 times how he frustrates you. You have, as I say, when you come onto the show afterwards, and other times as well. He is frustrating. He has got unbelievable ability, but the thing is with Bakuna, I've seen a million Bakunas, because there's always something missing in their arm, in that ability. It can be attitude, or maybe a little bit of pace or something like that. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's got technical ability. He isn't a team player. No, you're right, because he won't pass it. He wants to shoot all the time. He feels if he's beaten 3 players, it's his God-given right that he takes on the shot, even if somebody stood with an open goal, no goalkeeper, and just an easy tap, and he feels that he has the right to do that. So yeah, it is frustrating, and obviously he's missed his pen this year. When he's on it, he adds a lot to the game, and he's exciting to watch. You just want him to put full 90 minutes together. You're just thinking, please, just get a sweat on. You know what I mean? Just, like I said before, Brookie doesn't always have to wash his shirt. He just put it straight back in the bloody kit locker. But at times he's outstanding, and he beats players with ease. He's got a trick. He's got a swagger, which is great. But when you're at the bottom of the league, you've got to add the work rate as well. You've got to put 100% effort in, because they're not top of the league. They can't afford to carry anyone in that team at all, because at the minute it's not going well enough. Carlos is still coming to grips with the club, the style of play, the ridiculous amount of injuries that Town have sustained over the season. So for me, it's like, yeah, great, do your tricks, do everything. But when the hard yards have got to be in, you've got to do the hard yards as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that for sure. I think, you're going on to other players now in terms. I think Lewis O'Brien's finding a bit of form now as well. Obviously, well, he'll admit himself, I'm sure, that when he came back from that injury, that he was a bit off it, and like I say, I don't think it helped us playing him out of position at times. But obviously, he's back into his position that he loves now. So, and it's paying dividends. But yeah, I really like Lewis O'Brien. I think he's getting back to that level. But yeah.
No. He is. I agree. He's not a left back, because he gets beat too easy on the inside, on the outside. But as a midfielder driving forward, his engine is absolutely phenomenal. His engine. If you could put his engine in Bakuna, bloody hell, what a player you'd have then as well. And that desire. But we could say that all day. But yeah, Lewis O'Brien, when he's on it, when he's on his game, he's unstoppable. For some reason, he can just hold 1 or 2 players off. He can go past them. Great with the little 1-2. He's got obviously a really good left foot as well to create things. So yeah, he is a joy to watch. But he has had to work hard, and he's willing to work hard and play himself into form. But I think what it does show that Jayden Brown isn't fancied at the club by the manager, because you wouldn't put Lewis O'Brien, one of your most influential midfielders, in midfield if you felt that you had another left back to play.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But like I say, he's one of those players, Lewis O'Brien, I love to watch. And he's always looking to drive forward, and find that change of pace, to get Town forward, which is really easy. So I think the defense is looking a lot stronger, and I feel like Sarr. I think Sarr's really developing, and he's learning to maybe play it long instead of messing about at times. But I'm not saying just sides, but like all the defense used to do that, as you know, and sometimes we do continue to do that. But for me, I think Sarr is someone that we should maybe keep going forward to next season. And like I said, I'm not too sure about Keogh, I must admit, because I think Keogh was kind of that player that was just a short-term option, really. Just
Keogh's 36 now. You know what I mean? Is he going to have another year in the championship with the rigours of the championship? Maybe not. But Nabizar, he'll make another mistake before the end of the season, cost a goal, probably 2, if not 3. But he'll score goals. He'll do last-ditch challenges. He'll win headers in the box. Nabizar, I think, is an excellent defender, but he's got a rick in him. Unfortunately, he has got that mistake in him, and it will happen again before the end of the season, and it'll be a nightmare. But he'll do 20 other things that are better than the mistake that he makes.
So would you say that would you say personally that you wouldn't actually maybe keep? I'm not saying not keep him, but maybe we need more reliability at the back than his.
No, I'd keep Nabizar. I'd keep him. He does loads. He does a lot more right than he does wrong. But when he does something wrong, my God, it's a big one, and it costs. But you know what? As I say, he scores goals. He's dangerous on set pieces, both. Yeah, and he defensively is excellent. It's always his head that it seems to end up on. And yeah, when he will play out from the back. Yeah, now and again he gives the ball away. Yeah, we know that. But it's just part and parcel of Nabizar. But I think he's been a good part of the squad this year, as well as obviously your Toffalos and your other people that have come to the game. Pieper has done well on the left as well, even though he is basically supposed to be on the right hand side. And even Edmonds Green, I still think Edmonds Green needs a rocket up his ass. I think he still needs, he needs a bit more urgency at times when he's closing people down. But again, he's someone who I think's done well. He's done well. He's not letting anyone down. Just needs that little bit more urgency when closing people down. Yeah,
definitely. Edmonds Green is certainly a player that will really develop because he's still quite young, isn't he, as well? I'm not sure what age he is actually.
21, 22 now. So no, not that young. Not that young anymore. You've got to start stepping up now. You've got to start stepping up and showing consistency. Otherwise, you'll be out the door.
Yeah, I suppose though that he hasn't really had much experience at a proper club.
Well, he went to Swindon last year, didn't he? He did well at Swindon last year. Yeah, so I think he had a season playing really well there. As you say, 21, 22. He's been on loan. He's played a few games now. You've got to start showing, in that level that you're good enough to play in the Championship.
Yeah, I think another player that I want to touch on now is Pieper, who continues to really look dangerous going forward every game, and he's brilliant. Attacking wise, he really creates that threat that we need going forward for sure. But I think defensively he can be found out a lot of the time. And I know that it's been mentioned before about this. But I feel like that's a part of his game that he can develop. But also maybe I was kind of speaking about this the other day about how maybe if he's better at attacking, maybe we should play him maybe further forward, like we have been doing. And
wing back, yes, but not. He's not a winger. He is a wing back. He loves to get forward and back very well. It's just the start is like this. I wasn't talking about people getting done one-on-one all the time earlier in the season. I seem to be talking about it a bit more now, week in, week out. So I don't know if he's feel like he's not getting the backup that he got earlier on in the season from his winger. The person who's playing the same side as him, he's not getting the same kind of backup. I don't know. But definitely something's changed where he's not quite getting there. And just a few too many crosses are coming in. But he's a player that, I'd have playing every week, left or right. He is quality, and I think he is going to get better. He's playing a lot of football, probably the first time he's played this much football in his career as well, in the rigours of the Championship. But there's improvement to be made. But again, he's a quality signing, and Carlos has done well to get him in.
Yeah, it's definitely a great find. A great find of very few, unfortunately, these past few years. But anyway, let's not go. That's another story to go on and on and on about. But anyway, I don't want to get too, into that debate right now. I think we need to kind of try to limit the amount of crosses that go into our penalty area a bit more, going forward, because far too many crosses are getting across, and we're not really closing down enough for me.
Well, the thing is, you've got quality in the Championship. There's good centre forwards, there's strong centre forwards. You know, I mean, Kiefer Moore, they kept very quiet against Cardiff, obviously. In the first game, crosses were coming in, he was scoring goals, getting chances. So you don't want them there. And second balls are always there if crosses are coming in the box as well as indecision. There's anything that can happen. You know, and say there is quality centre forwards in the Championship, so you don't want it coming in as often as it does.
Yeah. I think another position that I want to cover now is obviously the striking positions. I think what have your thoughts been on Campbell overall this season? Because obviously, personally, I really like Campbell. I think you'll always see him putting the shift in. But obviously, we do need more goals to be scored up top. But you can't fault his effort, and I think he's a really good player to have around the club. But going forward, would you stick with Campbell and maybe play him up with somebody, or what are your thoughts going forward, maybe on Campbell?
That's not going to happen very often. Obviously, playing two up front, it's a now and again. I think he's going to play. But yeah, I think Campbell does well. I think sometimes he breaks the play up too much with his niggly fouls, and he gives teams the opportunity to slow the game down. And he just does very peculiar things at times. And he's done a couple little dives lately as well, which referees haven't been very happy with. But for me, Campbell's done well. He scored some good goals this season as well, some big goals. His determination to close people down, to do what Carlos Corberán wants. The fact he's played as much football as he has, he's never played this much football either. So he's getting a real tune out of him, Carlos Corberán, which is great. And you can't fault his desire. You can't fault, and he's never been a massive prolific goal scorer. So no one can aim and say, "Oh, he should be doing this, should be doing that," because he's never done that. But what he does do, he stops teams playing from the back. He closes people down. He scares the crap out of goalkeepers because he's constantly in the face all the time. And as long as his team are backing him up and there's other people there to take the chances, then Campbell, for me, he stays in the squad at least. He plays more often than not. But now with Sanogo coming in, I'd like to see a bit of both of them.
Yeah. Like I say, it's annoying that maybe Carlos won't go with two up front, because I think it really complements Campbell when he's got somebody up there with him, like we saw against Cardiff. Because it felt like, even though it was kind of we can't really judge a partnership on just one game, but actually, they did link quite well, and they did look good up top together. So I don't understand why we wouldn't go down that route going forward.
That's not his philosophy. That's not how he wants to play football. This is means to an end because of injuries, because of where they are in the league, because of the team they were playing in Cardiff. This isn't the Carlos Corberán style of football he wants to play. So he's never going to be banging two up front all the time, every game. Because then you're basically going 4-4-2, or maybe you've got the one behind there. And that's not what he's going to do. But when everyone's fit and everyone's ready and he's got the squad members he wants in, his philosophy of football will work a lot better, like it did early this season when everyone was fit. We were all happy then. Balls were flying in, games were being won. People talking about the playoffs. I know it's a dirty word now, but people talking about it back in the day. So we know with a fully fit squad and everyone he's got that he will be able to do that. So he's never going to start playing 4-4-2 every week, because it's just not the way he does it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I think overall the game last week was kind of it was a point game for sure, because we've kept that momentum going now. And like I say, we weren't at our best, but we still managed to get a point. And like you say, the goal that we scored was a bit of luck, but I think
a great ball in there. Kieran Westwood made a great save, and obviously Patterson felt sorry for us and stuck it in the back of the net for us. But there was a town player there to do it. But Sheffield Wednesday, as bad as the form has been this season, they've got players who can hurt you. They've got dangerous players. Windass. Jordan bagged a couple at the weekend as well. They have got dangerous players in a squad. I don't understand why they are where they are. I know they keep chopping managers. They've got a lunatic of an owner as well there, Manchuri, whatever he's called, at the club. So yeah, behind the scenes isn't great, but that shouldn't affect that first team as much as it does. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, I think they had a points deduction, didn't they? Though, so that's
6,
why.
Yeah, they've only had 6, so they'd still only be on 34. You know what I mean? 35, whatever it is. So they've had a 6-point deduction. They have. It was a 12 reduced to a 6. But then the squad they've got shouldn't be anywhere near the bottom anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know there's been rumours this summer about John Rhodes coming to town. A question here that they said they'd like to hear your thoughts on him possibly coming back to the club.
Financially, you know what I mean, it'd have to be right for town. You know what I mean? You can't be paying over the odds for someone who's really not been in form for about 3 years. You know, when I was at town with Jordan, great lad, you know, a lovely lad, and wants to work hard, wants to score goals, but it's not happened for him for a while. We can't hide from that fact that it hasn't happened. He's not been getting picked from certain managers, not getting his game time. So you've got to ask, why is that happening? So it'd have to be very good terms for Huddersfield Town if they were going to bring Jordan back to the club again.
Yeah, I totally agree. As I say, it has to be on our terms, and like I say,
Yeah.
we're paying too much for a player that, like you say, hasn't been in the best of form, the last few years. But yeah, that's one to look to in the summer and see what happens there. Obviously, a player that's really made his name, and really done well for us before he got injured was Aitin. And another question, another mention here, that must be. I think Harry said that must be a priority for him to be at the club next season. What do you think about that? He's asking for your thoughts on that as well.
No, I don't think he will be. He's going to go back to Ajax. I don't know where he's going to go from there. It'd be nice to see him before the end of the season again because he's a playmaker. Again, he's somebody you can tell wants to do well, loves playing football, loves creating chances, scoring goals. And yeah, he's a nice footballer. You got to ask yourself, is he made of cotton wool? You know what I mean? He's had a massive injury before he came to town. He's had an injury now. He's been out for ages. It seems like forever he's been out. But then again, every time someone breaks a toenail at town, they seem to be out for at least 2 months. So it's very, very peculiar the amount of time that they spend out, the players these days. It seems to have a lot to get over anything. So yeah, if they get a chance to bring Aitin back for next season, yeah, great. If he comes on loan again or whatever he's doing, I can't see it. And with his injury record before he came, an injury record since he's been here, again, it'd have to be a really good deal for town.
Yeah, definitely. And also, lastly, I do want to cover your thoughts on Ryan Schofield, obviously being a goalkeeper yourself. Personally, I love Ryan Schofield, and I think he's really grown this season. And he's kind of been thrown in the deep end, maybe when he didn't expect it, but maybe he would see himself that he was ready for that opportunity to step up to be the number one goalkeeper, which I think he is now, and rightly so, because for me, when he's got protection from his back line, he's able to keep clean sheets. But if he's not got that protection, then he's more susceptible to not getting a clean sheet. But and making more mistakes because he's
that's the same for any goalkeeper, Ryan. When the more work you get, the more chance you've got of making a mistake. And I've played in some terrible teams and made the odd mistake now and again, as well, along with like 50 other saves because you're playing the team which gets peppered every week. Haven't been fantastic. We know that they've conceded 51, 52 goals, whatever it is. There's been defenders making mistakes. Ryan's made a couple that have led to goals, not too many. I think he's done well. He's had his ground in at Notts County, up at the Scottish Premier League. I think he went out non-league as well the year before Notts County. So he's got his games in. Again, he's 21, 22 years of age. He's ready to step in. Physically, he's ready. And I think people have just gone a little bit over the top, like they always do with goalkeepers. Anything that goes wrong, keeper's fault. Yeah, there's a couple of crosses he could have come for, a couple of crosses he shouldn't have come for, things like that. But when you having that much to do, it's always going to happen. But he's got over it, and he's been a massive part of why Town have got the last 4 results they've got, because he's made huge saves, like the 1-on-1 against Wednesday the other night, and the double save as well in the game before. He's made massive contributions to Town getting the points, so there's not an issue there for me.
Yeah, people seem to be focusing on what he doesn't do, and I think that would you agree that he's coming for really unfair criticism as of late, really?
No, criticism, yeah, there's always criticism, and a bit of it is justified because there's a few little bits of indecision there and things like that. But again, who doesn't? You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, he's made saves that have kept Town in the hunt to stay up nice and early before the end of the season. And also, I think, he's very comfortable on the ball because Carlos wants to play from the back, and he's quite easy with his 1-touch, 2-touch. Sometimes I'm like, ugh, but it comes off and he gets there. And he's good at playing out from the back as well.
Yeah, like I say, I trust Schofield in goal, so I'm confident that he can go forward and really keep developing his game, and and maybe clean out the mistakes that he's doing. Because okay, there may have been a few mistakes, but he's still done more good than bad for me. And a comment coming here about Schofield is, I think sometimes Schofield is relying on defenders to get the ball out from crosses, even though sometimes Schofield should be going for it.
Well, no, he was blamed for a goal recently. I can't remember which one it was. And it wasn't his ball. But then when you've got a 6'5" centre half, he is going to head a lot of the ball. Even if Schofield shouts for it, Naby's out his head anyway, because that's what you taught. Don't take any chances. If it's there to edit. If not, you know what I mean. Keep all deal with it. Yeah, there's a couple that have come in there, but as again, it's just opinion. I know goalkeepers have never come for crosses. Some not come for crosses. You know, and it's a very tough part of the game, and as long as someone clears it, for me, then that's the main issue. If someone gets the down on it, you're fine.
Yeah, definitely. I think that obviously, I'm finally talking about the manager now, and I feel like Carlos, when he came in, you had to deal with it a lot, and then you got a lot of injuries, which like I say, it really has hampered our season, and you can see that from when we had everyone fit to when we kept losing players. So I feel like he's doing the best he can, and I feel like we should stick with him. I know there's been a few calls for him to maybe he's out of his depth and things like that, and everything else, and and looking at the negatives. But
he wasn't out of his depth before Christmas, though, was he? When they were winning games and still in games and creating chances and playing back to front football, and everything was good. Injuries come in, a little bit of lack of form in his first season as a coach, and suddenly that's it, off with his head, and away we go. Not for me, because I do think the style of football he wants to play is going to be exciting. He just needs that little bit of time, a bit of experience, own players through the door, get rid of someone. You've got to get rid of your Pritchards, get rid of your money men and stuff like that, who are, take a large part of the budget, and he gets a chance to bring his Vejos in, his Peepers in, Sanogo. We've just seen the quality signing in there as well from nowhere. So yeah, let's give him a chance to do that. Let's get fans in the bleeding stadium as well, so they can cheer on and give everyone a chance, and also boost the coffers of the club so they can start spending a bit of money. We can have some confidence in spending money. Like, we all know what's going on in the world right now. You're the same as we're all getting hit. We're all getting financially absolutely hit all over the place. So it's not easy. But I think Carlos Corberán will be the man. Not how much the Cowleys say and chirp up and all this sort of stuff. I know they thanked everyone apart from Phil Hodgkinson when they got the Portsmouth job recently. And that's gone now. That's gone. He made his decision to get rid of him. And you've got Carlos Corberán now and say Danny Schofield and that in there, who want to do well for Huddersfield Town, and I think they will.
Yeah, for me, the concern is that he's not had much experience.
No one has, right, has he? You know what I mean? No one has. I had much experience when I started in the radio. You gain that experience. You know what I mean? You've got to be given time to do your thing, to do your work, and put your stamp on your football club. And you need that little bit of luck as well, where people don't get injured every 5 minutes. Because Orlando Aarons, we don't even mention Aarons. No one talks about him. He looks a superb player. You know what I mean? He looks strong, aggressive. He's got a trick in him. You know what I mean? He wants to score, wants to get forward, wants to defend. Looks a quality player. Bloody hell. I forgot he was at the club.
Yeah, I know. It's such a shame that these players are just staying out injured for so long, like you said. I think Aarons, I think the reaction from Newcastle fans, they were a bit gutted that he'd actually left the club, which speaks volumes for what they thought about him as well. So that's credit to him for his, as a player. Like I say, final point to touch upon is Alex Vallejo again. I think he's been outstanding when he's played. I really like him. I think he's another great find that we've managed to.
He's a good player. Looks comfortable. Took way too long to get him into the first team squad. Fitness-wise, just seemed to last forever until they introduced him. But he's come in, looks comfortable. Someone else I'd keep as well into next season, because he can play centre half, holding midfield, and can push forward a little bit as well.
And like I say, I think it's a shame that Jonathan Hogg and Vallejo, they can play together. But I'm just saying that
would you want that play? For me, Vallejo plays in a back three. Hogg plays just in front of him. And then you're not taking away too much going forward then.
Yeah, like I said, what I was kind of saying is that I'd like to see them both in the side at some point, you know, consistently, because I feel like, you know, with them two in the side, it'll really help our team. Like I say, Hoggy's been outstanding for our football club, and like I say, you know, he comes in the other, you know, and it's like he's not been away, you know, he's not rusty one bit, and he's just, you know, he's just amazing, and I love Hoggy, you know, for all the criticism he can't, like I say, everyone seems to fly criticism his way, but at the end of the day, when you take him out the side, you can really tell, you know, and he does amazing work. So yeah, but yeah, I think we've covered a lot of things. But like I said, let's hope we can build on this after the international break and keep that momentum going. But obviously, we've got some tough fixtures coming up after the international break, so we'll be on it for sure. But you never know in the Championship. We could go.
When Swansea turned up, you don't expect to beat them 4-1. No, fingers crossed.
Yeah, the pressure's not on us; it's on them. So, like the Brentfords and the Norwich, not us. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you so much for joining this evening. I really appreciate it.
Right. Always, mate. Never a problem.
And yeah. So thank you everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week. We'll be announcing the special guest for next week a bit later on this evening. Say about 8 o'clock this evening, we'll be putting a post out for next week's guest, which we're so excited for. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Matt, for joining, and we'll speak to you all soon. Thank you very much.